Hi everyone, it is Monday, January 9th. I got a few things I want to hit on right now. First of all, I still haven't made this private, just a little tiny, like real brief background because I don't want to spend the whole time in this video. These videos are coming up now and they're available to public until I get everything together. I had a site called LearnStocks101.com that was up since April of 2010. The hosting company just butchered it, lost everything for me in a when they were moving me, migrating me to another server. I could build the thing again. It would take a long time the way it was. I was actually using some backdated coding, Drupal, but it was a way back. It would have to be completely redone. Um, so I'm still working on that. But the thing is that my members of now, the current members that are still paid up till a certain date, are viewing everything on here now, as is some of the public. But this is probably going to go private. I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. But just so you know, that's the thing here. I don't want to take off any of my members like, why is this here? I'm still working on getting everything the right way. And so they're not thinking like, why are they getting this for free when I already paid for how many years? So just that's real quick. So what we're looking at here is we're trying to do things a little different here. We got about 45 minutes to close. And the market, we're doing some things intraday here or during the market, just to give you an idea how these things work live. Right now we're looking at the scalper trend, which is a indicator I put together using indicators here available on Thinkorswim here. I also have added in indicator here and an RSI here to help us confirm moves and such like that, because you just don't use an indicator because you're probably looking at this like, what are these white arrows mean? I go short, I go long. But you can't just do something like that. You have to understand everything that's going on. And like I said, I lost the site. I had a whole trading handbook up there, over 100 something chapters, covered everything. So I probably got to start putting those videos back together again for my members and anybody else who's going to start looking at this. So if you have any questions about anything, put them in some comments and go from there. So like I said, we're about at 45 minutes before close. We're going to talk about a few things here about trading. When you trade, there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. And you can't just rely on, it's got to be simple, but it's got to be simple and not too complicated. You can't throw a lot of different, like 17 different indicators on it and expect to do what you want it to do. I like this setup, but I like confirmation of what we're doing here, so nothing goes crazy. So let's look at what we're looking at here on the daily chart on the SPY. So right now, my dog just, hey, hold on a second, I got to pause. My youngest dog likes to get socks and parade them around in front of people. She came down here and got a sock. So we're just looking at the daily chart to see the mood of the market here. We talk about this every day. Figured I'd start doing these a little more every once in a while intraday, so we can see what we're looking at, how we would handle things. So we started. You see the daily chart of the SPY. Nice breakout of the range yesterday. It's still staying out of the range. Maybe a little pullback to that range. But a red candle, bullish, bearish candle today. Started up. It was pretty green during the day, all the way up to looking for the high 393, almost 394, down to 388 right now. Still pretty volatile. I have an ATR chart which shows, let's back it out, basically average true range given day to day. It's coming down a little bit. Like you see back in here in May, it's up to like 10.6 on a given move over any 14-day period. It's now sitting down at 6.8. I like it down here, but it's still pretty volatile for where it is at. Let's go back to the scalper trend. So you see that's a red candle on the daily chart, but on the scalper trend it's a green candle, because it's basically saying that even though the action is not good today, there's more buying influence than selling influence. Like I said, I got to get a video up. So that's just a look at it from a daily. But if we're looking at, we'll talk about the daily trading perspective when we get into this stuff at the end. I just want to make this too long. I'm already at 4 minutes. Nobody wants to watch a 20-minute video with me babbling. So let's go intraday. We've talked about 1 minute trading. And like I said, I've put some other things on here. Like I said, I am a big user of fibs. I got to get a video up on Fibonacci retracements. I use those almost and more than anything. They are very true, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go back to the daily chart, And you see I put a trend line on here. That's basically the latest swing, whichever way you want to slice it. So we broke that trend line here at the beginning of December. So you take a Fibonacci retracement and you take the top of that swing to the bottom of that swing, and you put the Fibonacci on it, which I only put the 50 and 61 below. So you have a support zone. I'm also going to do it this way so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go ahead and edit those properties. Our support zone is you usually get a retrace of a swing to the 50% retracement all the way down to 61.8. That's the area you go into on a retracement when you're using fibs. You see this came right down to the 50, almost close to the 61.8, near 371.75. Held there for a little bit, now it's bouncing. So this means that generally over the past few months we're in an uptrend, basically starting here again in October. It's the trend is trying to change, but we're not looking at this right now. We're just looking at this section, trying to get up over 410, back to 4, then maybe we need up to 437. So that's just showing you how you throw a Fib retrace here, so you get a good idea that the overall market is kind of up, trying to uptrend again, and you go from there. But that's if you're trading on daily charts. So actually we're going to take that out so it doesn't skew what we're trying to do on the intraday charts. So you go to a 1 minute chart. If you're trying to scalp things, it's a good way to do things on a 1 minute chart. I like to do it later in the week because you get more bang for your buck on the options that are just about to expire, and you're not really worried about it because you're not holding them into the expiration. But like I said, I added the squeeze indicator, which gives me some confirmation if we're really into a squeeze that could really break down. And we're going to go into that. And I like the RSI tells me the trend. Anytime the RSI is below 50, that's a downtrend. If it's banging around there, it doesn't really know what it's doing. If it's above 50% constantly, it's an uptrend. But I mean, anybody to the naked eye, you can see back here at like 12:30 in the afternoon, we definitely started a downtrend. So you're looking, okay, how do I trade this? Do I wait till the white arrows? Like I said, I keep saying this, but I got to really put this scalper trend video up here so you guys understand what I'm talking about. You can take every white arrow to the downside and trade it, but you got to know where support is, where it could bounce. Or you could wait for a white arrow. So right now we're looking at, let's put another Fib retracement on here. So that's your latest swing here with that low in place. So as you see here, that's basically been banging around that 389.87 area at that low for a while. Right now you hit a down arrow, you break of that. Look where it went to, guys. Where it started bouncing. Went below the 1272 right to the 1618. That's the extension to the downside. This is how you put a lot of things into your trading so you know where you're supposed to get out or maybe get in. But in other words, what I'm saying is I'm trading this intraday to try to do some scalping. I'm going to trade these down arrows because it's in a downtrend, but knowing that that's support. So if I get a down move and get in, I want to think about getting out here unless it breaks down. So if I get a white arrow back to the upside there, I'm getting out. I'm getting out because you don't want to trade it to the upside because we're in a downtrend. You want to trade with the trend. Upside there, you can get in, and there you got rewarded on a little scalping action. And you got the 1618 saying, hey, wow, I know we could bounce here. It's already extended to the 1618 to the, sorry, 12721. It's already extended to the downside to the 1618. So I might be able to take some profit there. I know I might, if you don't understand, again, ask questions. But again, we're now at 322. So what's that? 38 minutes to close. We got an uptrend, or we got an up arrow here. We're saying, okay, should I trade this to the upside? Well, possibly. Depends on how you're trying to skim some things. But you're going to look at this first area here where we had a bunch of bounces. I'll put a price level in. Again, this is just yours trying to scalp some things. So if it gets above there, I'm going to watch. But if it gets above here, this trend might be changing back to the upside into the closing end of the day. Almost at 400 there. So again, that's what you're looking at to say how you say, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to trade here? Am I going to trade to the upside? Am I going to keep trading to the downside? What I would look for here, unless it gets above that area, I would look for another down arrow to form. And you can see what you're going to see, maybe see this form. I might pause it here, just wait till this arrow forms. So I'm not sitting here on this video forever watching it. And almost 10 minutes in, I'm going to try to make this like a 15-minute video. So So I'm going to pause it here, see if we get it. Well, let's go to a 5-minute chart and see if you want to trade a little bit slower. So you see there's today on the 5-minute chart, there's your trend change. If you take this on a 5-minute chart, take off all that miscellaneous, it's a little crazier on a 5-minute chart. You're like, okay, what's it doing? What's it doing? It's a whole 5 minutes. But there's your down arrow. There's your break of that support level I talked about, that conglomerated right here. You're getting a bigger reward, but you're a little bit more antsy into play because, again, you're waiting for the whole 5 minutes. So that's another way. It's another way to do this. Maybe the 5-minute way is a good way to go early in the week because the options aren't going to beat you up too much. They're also not going to reward you a ton. But 1 minute is better later in the week when you're just trying to scalp some things with some options that are going to expire pretty quickly. Maybe on a Thursday where they expire the next day. The volatility in those options is going to be a lot more because of the expiration coming up and the theta burn and all that stuff. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep this because you don't want to do this until, again, if you look at this as a swing, there's your trend line. Maybe this one is the same one I had before. Put your fib retracement on the 5-minute. There's your retraces. There's your lows and retraces. That's the last retrace. There's your low. Up, put it the wrong way. I want it to go. There, you're, like I said, you're right at the 1618, so you broke that down. You're getting actually pretty much the same move, the same rewards that you're getting on that 1-minute chart. So again, a lot of different ways to skin this cat. So let's look at some intraday stuff. So again, I got to put some videos up on this scalper trend so you understand what you're doing, because you should never trade without understanding what you're doing. Just wanted to show that stuff. Now we're going to go back to a daily chart, look at some stuff from that realm on the regular charts, and to see what we're talking about like we would do in a normal video. So right here, again, like I talked about, we broke out of the range yesterday. Staying out of the range, even though that's not a pretty day, but you're getting some action that could go higher. Again, the first level you want on the SPY is that high here. Remember, that's down to the 50% retracement of that swing. And then we basically want this 431.73 because look on that weekly chart, that changes the trend of the entire year of 2022. All these swings and down moves and lower lows and lower highs, you get above that 431.73, that's that higher high. That sort of puts a different look on that trend for 2022 into 2023. So that's good on the SPY. Remember the Qs, like I said, still out of their little bit range they were in, and the IWM still out of their little range. You can, if you're going to do any of that intraday trading with anything, whatever tools you use, do something that's liquid and volatile. SPY is one of them. Apple is another one. You just look at the trade tab and look at anything. The weeklies out here. You look at all the volume, that means it's volatile. Look at the bid-ask spread, that's one of the bigger things. You can trade any of those. If you go something like Visa, again, you're getting decent bid-ask spreads. There's not as much volume, not as much liquidity. If you're doing like the 220s on the call side, that's not bad with an 8-cent differential in the bid-ask. That's not bad. But then if you go to something like maybe Netflix, which I don't think is very liquid, well, it's not bad right here on the intraday, some volume. What doesn't have, I know Tesla probably is pretty liquid. Google's actually pretty liquid here on the weeklies too. So then you go to the February's on Google. There's actually some decent action there too. Maybe since the price, since it's only, yeah, the price is down. So again, it's hard to trade those. Let's check Amazon. Probably pretty liquid here. Yep, also on the weeklies and on the monthlies. So anything that's liquid like that, go ahead and go after on some interest. Stay away from anything with no volume and big bid-ask spreads. So let's look at the stocks we usually look at just to see where we're going and check the list to the side. I didn't write down my list from yesterday, what I was going. So you see anything that's going with the markets you can trade just like the markets aren't. Apple's candle today just looks like the markets. I wouldn't even call it out of a range because that range was not as long. We got to start moving up in Apple, get a little more bullish where we start trading to the upside, and be careful. I'm always careful to the downside. Amazon looks a little bit better than the market in general, which it didn't yesterday. It didn't really break out of its range yesterday. It did today. Tesla's always a good trading vehicle, but there was some news out on Tesla. I read it and read the headline, but it's one of those things. It's not really out of the range that it's been in since the 27th of December. And as again, you see every time on the down move, it reverted back to this 21 EMA down, reverted back down. If it reverts back there, that'd be a good place to go short again with a tight stop. And if it starts running up, just get out or try to trade it to the upside. But it's not really going to change this short-term trend that it started here back in September until you get to this high from December 1st. And then Google, like I just brought up, looks a lot like the market, still bouncing near that 83, 84 level. So I know I had, have to go back to look and see what I had. I know I had Visa on here, and that made a move above that. Like I said, if you're one of those traders that are worrisome, watch every tick of the market, these daily charts are pretty hectic for you. Like I said, okay, it opened above the range, or opened above that 217, 218 we talked about. It's out of that, over that resistance. It could run to 236. But wow, it's really pulling back. What I mean is that if you got in at the wrong time, you might be in the red right now. You have to get in the exact right time to be in the green right now, like almost ready to open. So you got to have some plan in place. If like you can never put too much money on the trade on something like this, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? I'm losing all kind of money. Have a plan, put it in place, stick to it. That's what the site was all about, having a plan in place and trading your plan. So this still looks good. Could still run up to 237, 238, but doesn't mean it's all in a straight line. I think I know we had Netflix on here, but said the earnings are coming out. Like I said, earnings are going to beat things up a little bit. It's got to get over that 330 level, 329 and some change at the bottom of that last gap from a few reports ago. That's where a lot of people are stuck short, or short, maybe close their positions, buy back. People are mad that they got in there, getting out of the position, selling it. So a lot of things could happen, as it did last time we got up to that 329 and some change. What else did we look at? Oh, Monster, MNST. Let me put these on here. So MNST, again, this if you're trading on the daily candles and you're looking for some bang in your short-term trades, you got to have some movement. This is very low on the ADX, very low trend strength. MACD flattening out. RSI looks good. But again, this really isn't going to make a big move until it gets over that 104.49, until it breaks out to a new high. Remember, I talked about this being a good idea because this is an uptrend since 2022. Not too many charts were an uptrend in 2022. Let's go back to the other video from yesterday to look at what I was talking about, what else I was talking about. But it looks like what else was moving today. You see the Bitcoin stuff, Coin and Riot are big movers today. But if you look at something, I mean, they're just really trying to get off a bottom. I mean, 9 months ago, Coin was up at 160 plus. Now it's at 38. You're thinking, oh, maybe this is the time to get in. I just don't like charts that don't really trend near when they're at the bottom. This is not bouncing. This just looks like it wants to continue to lower, but this is a reprieve today. That's just a chart opinion. I'm not talking about the fundamentals of what's going on here. So Boot Barn is up big today. Let's check out that. Another one trending near the lows. I don't know if I touched that for a daily chart trade. Same with ANF, which I think we looked at yesterday. Again, it's through the gap from a few earnings reports ago, with just sort of a little bit of Netflix idea. It's outperforming the market. Keep an eye on that one. You get in near the end of today, looking at maybe something into tomorrow. Just be careful. We have a lot of volume. Let's see if there's any news. They boosted fourth quarter outlook on solid holiday sales. So anytime you're trading off a news blast or an earnings report, any kind of catalyst, be careful. You would prefer it be a technical move. The chips are leading the way. Some good news out on chips. So AMD's coming off the bottom. So is Nvidia. Uh, if I could type, we'd be okay. So is Nvidia. So they could be getting a bounce. But you see a lot of stocks up over 2% today. This is like first 50 of like 200 or so stocks I watch on a regular basis. That's pretty good when the market's not looking great. Actually, it's green, but actually in the red on the candle, but barely green. To see a lot of, again, it's up 0.09% on the SPY, but you get a lot of stocks that are up over 2%. I like that ratio, showing that there's some buying going on, just maybe not in certain areas. You go down to the red, biggest losers are Lulu, but they had news out today, and you see PSX. Let's see if all the other ones. I'm not seeing them. PSX must be on news because I don't see a lot of the other oil energies all the way down here. Not a whole lot down more than 1%. Eli Lilly, you never know with the pharma, but I bet that's on news too. eBay, Dollar General. So again, you just try to get out an idea of the market and what you're looking at. See top mover Chewy. I think we talked about that a little bit recently. Coming off a 3-day bounce here. Good 3 candles in a row, outperforming the market. So anything outperforming the market, you can go look for, see if the trade setups for you. Anything underperforming, stay away from it. Anything going with it, make sure you're just watching what the markets do. Don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to cut it here. Have a good night.